Today we're in Los Angeles, California at the charming Hollywood Regency home of design duo and husband and wife Shana Sherwood and George Kypreos. After meeting while working at Ralph Lauren in New York, the couple moved west and founded their design firm Sherwood Kypreos. That path eventually led them to this charming 1930s home where classic details and dappled canyon light set the stage for their stylish blend of vintage finds, playful art, and meaningful family heirlooms. From the cozy living spaces to a chic yet utilitarian kitchen, every room blends history with personality.
We use creamy white marbles a lot because once years ago we were in Greece and there was a candy store and their whole countertop was like a...
It looked like a 200-year-old marble.
It was like a 200-year-old kitchen basin that had been just wiped probably a million times, and to me it was like the perfection of a kitchen counter.
Upstairs, bright bedrooms filled with antique furniture feel perfectly at home in this historic home, and Shana is teaching her daughter to appreciate pieces with character, even if they're a bit difficult to use.
We got another dresser for her, this pine dresser, which she complains about because it's hard to open, but I tell her we do it for beauty.
For Shana and George, great design is a marriage between architecture and interiors, and this home is a perfect example of that harmony. To watch Shana and George's full home tour ad-free, scan the QR code on screen or visit homeworthyplus.com for access to all of our latest episodes ad-free and to receive other exclusive membership perks. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. I'm Allison Kenworthy, the founder of Homeworthy, and we take you inside the world's most beautifully decorated homes and introduce you to the brilliant people who live there.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Liz Lang. Welcome to Grey Gardens.
Click the join button below to access all of our latest episodes ad-free and watch extended cuts of this and other homes, opening the doors to new rooms and exclusive content featuring our beloved hosts.
I can't wait to see, I'm so excited.
And if you're looking to shop items inspired by this and other Homeworthy tastemakers, be sure to use the product links below or scan the QR code on screen to find fabulous furniture, coffee table books, and accessories that can transform your house into a home.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Shana.
And I'm George, and welcome to our home in Hollywood.
I'm Shana Sherwood.
And I'm George Kypreos.
And we have a design business in Los Angeles called Sherwood Kypreos.
And this is our home in Hollywood.
So we initially lived a block away and moved there in 2017 and then had one kid in that house. And that house was a smaller house. And then when I got pregnant with our second kid, we were looking for a house in this neighborhood, and I drove by because we lived on the same street and saw a coming soon sign in this house, and I was like, oh! So we saw it before it went on the market, and this neighborhood has a lot of colonial revival, but like in a kind of like 30s more modern.
It's a very
right?
like Hollywood Regency colonial revival houses. I think the 1930s is the best era for Los Angeles architecture, residential architecture, and that's when it was done. So it's sort of like the heyday of LA as a glamorous place, or at least Hollywood as a glamorous place, and that's what all these houses sort of look like. And we always liked them, and we had our eyes on each one, and
there's this kind of like architecture up the street and up the street over there and like throughout the neighborhood. The architect of this house was Arthur Hawes, right? And he did the Hollywood Reporter Building, and he did some theaters in Westwood. So it has kind of like a little bit of this like glamorous element to it. We kind of like jokingly call it a mini estate because it kind of has like elements of this grand estate, but it's not
that big of a
house. So it has like these really kind of like beautiful moldings and this like wide stair and things like that, and kind of like this grand architecture from the street, but it's like not a big house.
It was fairly untouched. The previous owners had lived here since the 80s. So it was like a very intact house. They'd only redone, I think, the kitchen at one point.
Yeah, that was kind of
But
the
we
only
always
thing.
liked the house. We used to call it backwards shutter house because the shutters on the front were applied
Before we
backwards.
lived here.
So we flipped the backwards shutters around. And
That was the greatest thing we did to the house. We renovated the kitchen. We kind of like touched the whole house. The architecture is basically intact. Like this room, we just kind of like painted and redid the floors, but the kitchen's fully redone. The primary bath is totally redone. We did some reconfiguring upstairs because we gave ourselves a bigger closet and stole our son's closet, but don't tell him. And just put in some like casework and things that kind of like made sense for our lifestyle.
But we liked the house to begin with. And I think we didn't want to fight what it was. We just wanted to make it feel like our house. And so some elements we like just really repeating what would have been the thing from the 1930s, and other times we wanted to mix in something that was a little bit more eclectic or something that speaks more to us, and that's how we did it. This is our living room, which is a step down off of the entry and is kind of a large room. So early on, I think one of the first things we wanted to do was figure out a way to use this kind of formal front of house space in a way that would just be comfortable for everyday life.
So we ended up putting a sectional in here, which may not be everyone's first thought in a formal living room, but we thought it would kind of like maximize the usage of people coming in here. They're actually our only TV in our house is in here. So people sit, and we did the sectional in this kind of like cotton velvet Schumacher burnt red orange color, which we thought was really pretty. And one of the original thoughts was, oh, let's make this room feel slightly different. So we painted it kind of this like, it's a Portola color called French gray. And we thought
we thought if we saturated it in a little bit of color, it would like soften the sort of formality and grandness of the room a little bit. But it's interesting, the color also, by doing it this way, it in some ways highlights the architecture a little bit. Like you really see like the plaster crown molding and the chair rail and everything.
And the mantle is original, and all kind of like the whole fireplace, the box kind of, it's dirty, but it has this pretty kind of detail inside. The tapestry over the fireplace was a gift from my father and stepmother. It was my dad used to collect like Persian rugs and spent time in Afghanistan buying Persian rugs and stuff. And I think he had bought this in like the late 60s, early 70s, and then had just kept it. And when we had our son, he gave it to us as a gift to put in his room. But now it's over our mantle. Yeah. So it's still in our house. It's just not in his room. We have the Paula Buffa chairs, and we did them in this like Holland and Sherry kind of plaid. I love plaid and stripes, so always.
Shana loves plaid.
I love plaid. I want everything to be plaid. This was actually my grandmother's settee that she had in her entry, and so we reupholstered it.
We've reupholstered it 3 times at this point.
But every time I see it, it makes me think of my grandmother and like her grand house and her entry. We did this like Lou Hodges kind of mid-century table, because we thought that was like a nice contrast, and the room needed a little kind of like chunk and bulk. And we tell our kids not to stand on it because it's glass. The drapery is this namesake kind of block print. And that was the first thing we did in the room with the green walls. Like the 3 things when we first moved in, we had the green walls, the drapery fabric, and then the sofa. And then we kind of worked around that. This is a vintage Swedish hutch. This was a chair in my grandmother's house too that we reupholstered, so we have lots of her furniture spread around. These are these Alekos Fascianos prints that we got at the museum in Athens. George is Greek, so we go to Greece every other year, and the museum was amazing. We have some prints in our son's room too. And
the painting Shana found in a vintage shop.
Yeah, the painting is just a little vintage.
The folded paper art is by a Canadian artist called Neil McClellan.
I feel like it was the only piece of art George owned.
It's the only piece of art I own that I brought into the house. Everything else has mainly been Shana's or something we found together.
Yeah.
This is our kitchen and dining area, and it's the part of the house that was the most radically transformed when we bought the house. So everything that you see here is completely new, with the exception of the bookcase right there. And
it used to be kind of like a guest room, a bathroom, and then a much
a
smaller
laundry room,
kitchen.
a walk-in pantry, a smaller kitchen, and we just took it all apart and recreated it. And I think because we wanted it to, we knew we had this situation where we didn't have a lot of space, and our kitchen had to sort of double as the main dining space of the house because the dining room has been taken over by the children. And so we wanted it to be like a very comfortable, like den-like dining room. And so this is where Shana's big work table came into play. And it's also why we brought in, the pine paneling, which is like something very common in
the
houses,
neighborhood.
in the neighborhood of houses of this era. They have pine dens. And we thought, why not just do it? And so it's like a kind of an archival, historic shape we had milled with the double pencil, and we brought it in here. I like to work on wood surfaces. For me, it's important because I like to cut right on it, and I like to be able to have lots of space to spread out, and I don't like the sound of plates going down on stone.
We try to kind of, when we're doing kitchens, we're always promoting like butcher block countertops, but it's like you have to be okay with the fact that they're gonna have like knife cuts in it and that it's not gonna be pristine. But I think for George and I, the inspiration here was kind of like a utility kitchen, but kind of like a elevated utility kitchen. Yeah. So
we always push natural materials in kitchens.
Yeah.
People are worried about stains, and we say it doesn't matter, just do unsealed natural marble and wood, because the food stains on them, at least for us, it's what we want to see. We have this whitish kind of marble in here, and we use creamy white marbles a lot because once years ago we were in Greece and there was a candy store, and their whole countertop was like
it looked like a 200-year-old
marble. It was like a
marble.
200-year-old kitchen basin that had been just wiped probably 1,000,000 times, and to me it was like the perfection of a kitchen counter.
It just had like, it was like kind of like so honed and had like so much patina, and it was so beautiful. So I feel like we're always trying to bring back that thing. Like I think George and I don't make a lot of like sparkly kitchens or glammy kitchens. Like I think that for us the kitchen is like a utility space, but we also want it to be a beautiful,
unless people tell us they don't cook. Then it's a totally different story. And actually it's my first question always when we go into people's houses, do you cook? And I do a completely different kitchen if they don't.
And here we did like a mahogany island because we just thought the mahogany was a really pretty contrast to like the kind of creamy cabinets. And this is Benjamin Moore linen white that we have a lot in our house that just feels like kind of like natural to the house, this kind of like very creamy white. And we always had this idea in here for this kind of like paneled space. And so, we have like the paneling over here, and the paneling wraps the room. A lot of times our least favorite thing are just things in general that just look really like tacked on. Like we always try to give it like a foundation or base. So a lot of times we'll do brackets on uppers, and we like uppers to kind of like be hugged in a space and not just kind of float. And so these were these uppers. We did these like many mock-ups with our favorite cabinet guy, Ed, to get the exact right proportion of the brackets over here.
And Shana we always like to say never about things, but never. We do not like floating shelves that just like flay out at the edges that you can see. And so for us, like I like to have closed storage and open storage, but the open storage needs to be thoughtful and contained in some sort of architectural place. I don't like to see the outer corners of shelves. Actually, it's something that's hard for me to handle.
He really dislikes outer corners.
I do hate outer corners.
So we like everything. And I think when you make things feel built in, they just feel kind of like more architectural and less just kind of like, oh, I instilled these images of things I like. So we do like open storage in combination with closed storage. And then here, this is kind of like our coffee, toast, drink station. So all of our glasses and mugs and everything are over here. And then this is kind of like serves as a bookshelf too. We have our cookbooks and kind of our cake plates and things like that.
I like big ceramic pots.
We always do these in kitchens. We always do kind of like open storage for cutting boards and things like that, which are always handy, which I feel like everyone's always like, where do I put my cutting board? And so we always kind of, when we have a few like 10 inches, 12 inches left over, we kind of do that. Here we have this like kind of little charming base detail over here, and we have it over below our sink too.
I think a lot of the millwork details were just trying to be inspired by sort of a 1930s kind of country-ish colonial revival stuff. But again, in the kitchen, because we wanted it to feel like it had an old world utilitarianism, the wood, the stone, the vents on the cabinets, it's actually a vintage detail you see in a lot of older houses. Either it's completely open or it's vented because it's a wet area, so it actually completely makes sense that you would do it so it doesn't get moldy. I think that it was an early decision here to do this black and white checkered marble, and where a lot of it comes from is that what was in these older kitchens when these houses were built in Los Angeles of this era actually was frequently a checkerboard floor, but it was often linoleum, which is every once in a while I tried to push for it because I actually think it's kind of cool, but for the most part it's not, especially if it's carrying through to other rooms and it's not just contained in the kitchen, it doesn't really feel like something anybody wants. And so to us this was sort of an homage to that type of floor, but in something that was a little bit...
It's kind of like back to our like hybrid of like utility, but not actually utility, but elevated utility kind of stuff. And in kitchens, we rarely do recessed lights unless someone is like, I really want recessed lights.
We rarely do recessed lights anywhere outside of showers and closets.
Yeah. So here we have these little flush mounts, and we find it as like an added kind of design feature when we do kitchens that you can have these kind of like cute little flush mounts. From the second we bought this house, I wanted to put this original BTC, that's the manufacturer light fixture, in the kitchen, and we just thought, oh, now it's moving. That one over the island was nice because a lot of times people just think like, oh, I have to do 3 pendants over my island and things like that. But a lot of times we just do flush mount lighting, or we do a single thing.
I like it because it makes it feel like this is like a real work surface, and I actually do pull it up and down.
It kind of has like a scientific vibe to it now that I think about it. You're lowering it and doing your experiment. And then we kind of go in the breakfast dining space over here. So this is the big table that everyone always sits at. We always find in dining rooms, if you really focus on making the chairs as comfortable as possible, people will sit here for hours, and then you have like a more successful dining experience or dinner party or kids hangout or whatever. So we really wanted these dining chairs to be as comfortable as possible. And they're also, they're slip covered, so you can just take them off and wash them, which is really key.
I think a lot of our clients have children and they're always scared about certain things. And again, this is about a natural material. These are just cotton. They're not performance fabric. But it's fine because they're a busy pattern.
And they get washed a lot.
And they get washed all the time. We take them off and we wash them probably a couple of times a week because our kids are particularly messy with their eating. And then
this was an original bookcase that was actually in the bedroom that was here before. So we kept it because we thought it was like a nice feature. So that's the only kind of original thing in the space besides the windows.
The molding around the bookcase is original, and all
we
of the
matched
house had
it.
this pencil molding, but everywhere else it's matched. Even this was a smaller doorway with an actual door in it that we opened up a little bit, and we recreated it everywhere else. And I actually think the bookcase is an interesting thing in terms of trying to lean into something difficult, because at the end of the day, it's not the most practical to have this bookcase in our kitchen. It accumulates a lot of markers and like iPads and stuff like that, and it's always something we're constantly like organizing, but then it also just makes the space feel really like comfortable and cozy. It gives us somewhere to put our world's best dad awards, and I think it just makes it like a unique space, because I would never just put a bookcase in like a breakfast nook or in a kitchen for no reason, but when it was there and it's something we could work with, it makes it like a more interesting, memorable kind of space.
When I graduated college, I moved to New York and had no idea what I wanted to do. And I started working retail at a Ralph Lauren store. And then there was these teams that would come in and do the windows and kind of design the stores for holidays and different installs. And I was like, oh, that seems like something that would be interesting. And so then I got a job doing that, and then did that for a few years at Ralph Lauren. And then I kind of was doing store windows and things like that. And I kind of wanted to know the next level of how to make a space different and transform a space, and how to refinish a piece of furniture, and how to add architecture and, things like that. And so then I was like, I think I should go to interior design school. So I went to Parsons and did a program there, and then came back to Ralph Lauren in their store design department. So like ground up stores, renovating stores, new stores, stores in malls, stores in New York, stores in China. And
That's where you found me.
that's where I met George.
I had gone to architecture school here in Los Angeles at the University of Southern California and had worked here in residential architecture for a couple of years at Marmol Radziner. And I had moved to New York, taken a new position in store design at Ralph Lauren. Shana was there. Allegedly, we met on the subway, and I was rude to her. I have no recollection of this. But eventually, after a few years, we were able to work together. We became very good friends. That's where we met. We were both sort of working, doing our own thing in the same room. For a couple of years, I was working partly for James Purse and partly doing side projects, and Shana was doing her own projects, and we worked together out of the house. And then at one point, we were like, this is such a waste of time that we operate two different businesses together. So we just formed a business.
One business.
And that's
in like
what,
2017?
2017. And that's what we have been ever since. So we've kind of been working together since about 2013, but technically
since 2017.
Yeah, since 2017.
This is our back patio. We try to come out here and have coffee and read newspapers, but it doesn't always happen.
No. But our kids play out here.
Yeah, our kids play out here. We have like a basketball hoop and some soccer equipment and stuff over there. This was actually a dining set that was left at our last house by the previous owner, and we repowder coated it and then brought it here. This is our garage, but we don't really use it as a garage, and so
storing all that furniture we're not using that we cycle through our house, and so it's actually a long-term furniture storage shed.
That's what we'll call it. We grew this kind of Boston ivy and jasmine combination on our garage here. And we have lots of potted plants.
We love potted plants. We're not good at taking care of potted plants. So I feel like one of our favorite Saturday activities is buying plants for the pots.
That we kill.
That we usually kill within about 6 months, but it's an activity. The kids like it.
Mm-hmm. And we try to come out here and sit and watch our kids play whatever they're gonna do.
Okay, so now let's go back inside and we'll head upstairs.
We were talking about this yesterday. I think my favorite room in this house might be our primary bathroom, or I really think the powder room is very charming.
Mm-hmm. I do. I feel the same way about the bathroom, and part of it is because it was had been remodeled in the 50s portion of the house, and the oddness of it is something we sort of leaned into in the design and ended up creating a space that was very unique and it's very comfortable. And it becomes
we say this a lot to people because a lot of times houses have kind of like weird quirks and stuff, and it's like you have to make that like an asset and not a liability. So it's like, how do you play that up? Like our primary bathroom was a converted porch with like a closet, and we combined them and made a primary bathroom. So they have like different kind of ceiling conditions, but the way that it's designed, I think, makes it feel like it was intentional and like charming rather than just
and
weird.
I think the proof that it works is that it's everyone's favorite. Our kids have their own bathtubs, but they won't use them. And I always like to sit in there too. It's like almost like a weird small living room upstairs in our bedroom. And then I also think all of us spend the most time in the kitchen. I think that Shauna's giant table really is almost like a family room. And I like to cook a lot, and the way it's set up, it's not a huge kitchen, but I think it's very functional for us, and it works really nicely. And we do a lot of kitchens, and so it's always good to bring ideas that we've been working on or things we want to work on into there. And then I think just naturally in the house, the room that we didn't really do all that much to, but I like, for some reason, the proportion of the room or the architecture, the way it's positioned is like our playroom den, which is supposed to be the formal dining room, but we've always treated it as a playroom den. It's just very nice. It has really nice light. It's very comfortable. I don't know.
People just end up sitting
People always end up sitting there amongst like the Barbie houses and the Hot Wheels, because it's just like a really nice, architecturally nice space. There's something about the proportion of it that I'm trying to figure out what it is. I haven't figured
to replicate
it out yet, but it is really the best room in the house.
So off the kind of butler's pantry here is what should be the dining room, but we use it as a kind of like playroom / evolving into a den space.
I think this actually speaks to like the fact that our house always changes a little bit. We move things around and change things, and I think because we moved in with very small children and now they're kind of medium small and they're getting bigger, So at one point it was truly just toys, and now it's kind of turned more into a game. We kind of hang out here. They play games. They do art, and I think I already said this is kind of my favorite room in the house. We did very little to it. It's basically how it was, except that we painted it, added lights, but it just has a very comfortable proportion. It has really nice shape. It has windows on two sides, and from the entry it gets a lot of light. But it's all very dappled. The light's very dappled because we have a lot of trees. And so it always just feels like a relaxing, calm, comfortable place.
And I think our kids feel really comfortable in it. You know, they tape up their art, their shark art, and they lay on the sofa and they color on the furniture, which I'm trying to make them stop doing.
We're trying to discourage them from.
But they lounge in the corner. They play with their balls and magnetiles.
I think the George Smith sofa.
Oh yeah, this is like a vintage George Smith sofa that I reupholstered in this like very durable fabric.
It was also one of the first things to come into the house when we got the house.
There was a few things when I bought this house. I was like, I need a George Smith sofa. I need that light in the kitchen. There was a few things I had on my mind that seemed to really make sense in the house. And I think with our things, like sometimes we buy things from vendors we work with a lot. Sometimes we buy things on Etsy. Sometimes we find something from, you know, a estate sale and paint it. So our house is really a combination of like lots of different things. Like these were these like vintage kids Sony chairs that I bought before my son could even sit, or he only, I think when he was like 3 months old.
When he was an infant, he got these vintage
I saw them on
chairs.
eBay and I was like, I need these vintage kids Thonay chairs, and they're actually like great. And now we've had them for 8 years. And the rug was just a rug from Etsy that we thought would be cute in here. This my dad and stepmom brought back from Oman. And we hung that up. And then our son loves to like make maps, and so there's lots of his art and maps everywhere. Our daughter likes to do lots of art too. These sconces, and we made little shades, with this paisley How fabric. The kids love hanging out in here, and it's whenever there's kids over, they're all in here. There's like 10 kids at a time building cities, and
adults end up here too. Because
they
it's
do.
Just a very comfortable place to sit. Even the little Thonay chairs grown-ups can sit on them too, and they like it, and the sofa is nice. And it ends up being a very cozy place. I love the upstairs hall to our house. When we got it, it was really closed in. It was a bunch of little closets, and we just ripped everything apart, and we put in this piece of furniture because what we wanted to do was make it feel more like a room between the rooms, not just like a cramped hallway. And it is, I think, it's actually another place the kids have a tendency to play in because they run back and forth between their rooms. And this leads us right into our daughter's room.
It's our daughter's room. I think the major thing in here is this Pierre Frey wallpaper.
Yeah, that's like the elephant in the room. You can't walk in without talking about
and this Fortuny lamp. This was the first thing before I even was pregnant with our daughter. Someone said they had a Fortuny lamp for sale, one of our movers, for $100, and if I wanted it. And I had no place for it, but I bought it anyway, and now it's here many years later.
It sat in our office for many years, and then it ended up in our daughter's room.
And she has these pair of twin beds that actually came out of a project we were working on that the homeowner was just going to get rid of before our clients bought the house. And we said, we'll take them, and I forced George to paint them. So now she has this pair of twin beds in case she has house guests. She has this very charming bookshelf from English Farmhouse Furniture. So doubles as a dollhouse and bookshelf there. From the Parsons Nose Antiques too, we got another dresser for her, this pine dresser, which she complains about because it's hard to open, but I tell her we do it for beauty.
Yeah.
And then this was out of my grandma's house too. I used to sit in this chair when I was a little girl, and then there was no place for it, so it came to our house, and now it's in our daughter's bedroom.
She seats her dolls.
She does seat her dolls in it, and then she has this tent, which she loves to play in.
I think this room is very special for any kid, or I don't know if our daughter knows how to like it, but it is really special because it has this unique ceiling. It has windows on 3 sides, so all day long it has light coming in and changing. It has trees all around it. It is a really, really kind of almost magic little space.
It is a very magical
and I think it's
room.
definitely one of the, I wouldn't say it's, I think the reason I list is one of my favorite rooms in the house is because I don't think we don't all come in and sit here. It kind of belongs to her. But it is really, I think, one of the most unique rooms in our house.
She did tell me recently she wants to change the wallpaper.
She did.
This is what happens.
Always say when people ask what our style is or what kind of aesthetic we have, I always say that we don't have a style. We have sort of a sensibility. And I think that for people who see each other all day long, because we live together and work together, we generally don't disagree a lot about work things. Or if we do, or design things, or if we do, it's very quick conversations. We are able to work together actually much more quickly than we do separate of each other because we bounce ideas really fast. But it's never really about like, I like this particular color or this style and I want to bring it to this project. It's usually more about this situation is here in this house. What if we do this to it? What if we do that? What if we make it feel like that?
I always kind of say I want like 5 houses. Like I want like a mid-century house. I want like a colonial house. I want like a ranch house. I want a craftsman house, because I would like do them all so differently. And I think they would be so fun to do them all kind of differently, because every architecture to me like demands a different interior kind of.
It has different opportunities.
And
There's
has
things
different
you can do in one
opportunities.
house you can't do in another.
Yeah.
And even actually with clients, we always say, even when clients are like very difficult or very specific, if in a lot of ways it makes the project more interesting because it forces you to be a little bit creative or to accommodate something or to get to the bottom of what it is that they're asking for, because it's not usually to replicate a picture they're showing you, it's something else they're trying to get at. So I think when we decorate this house, when you tell me, like, it's a little bit about starting with what is the house and the architecture and the setting, and then a little bit about how we were feeling at the time we did it.
So for clients, when we're designing a house, you know, we like show them images and we create mood boards and we do renderings and we show them fabrics, and it's all like a vision from the beginning. But I think the reality is when we do our own house, it's not really that way.
It's a little more chaotic.
It's a little bit more like just in our heads together, like, oh, let's do that. Oh, that light, I've always wanted to use that. I think that would be great. So it's like, it wasn't a vision really to begin with. It was just kind of like a series of, and also like you're working on everyone else's houses all the time. It's like, you don't really have a lot of time and attention to focus on your own house. So sometimes like that happened. So it wasn't like a vision to begin with. It was just kind of like what made sense for us at the time. And I think the reality is we bought the house in March of 2020. So it was like, we closed escrow like the day that like the world shut down. So that had its own limitations too. It was like, oh, we want to go like look at windows. Every window showroom is closed. So we were working within like the arsenal of our heads of what we had seen over the past, 10 years working in Los Angeles. But I think here, we have 2 kids, 5 and 7, and so we don't want anything to be too precious. We always say to our clients and for ourselves, we want to use every room in the house, especially if the house is not giant. So this is our living room, and it's kind of like a step-down living room, which a lot of people don't end up using in these type of houses.
They treat it like a very formal.
Yeah, they treat it very formally.
Christmas only thing.
But we wanted to use it, and so we were like, let's make it feel more like a den and put a TV in here, and this is the only TV in our house, so our kids are forced to come in here and watch TV. So we really wanted to like utilize all the rooms in the house and maximize the space. And like the backyard is not huge, and so a lot of times I feel like if backyards are not really big, it's nice to like embrace kind of like a courtyardy vibe and aesthetic. So I think it's basically like, what does the house has to offer and how do we play that up to the best of its ability? But I think inherently, like, I am drawn to kind of a lot of antiques, and I think my favorite thing in the world is to go to like antique stores and flea markets, and every time we go somewhere I force George to come with me shopping. So it's
because actually we do that so much, we like cycle things a lot in this house. So we have things and we'll get kind of bored of it, and then we'll go back into storage and other things will come out. Because I do think also neither of us are like minimalists, but also we're not
maximalists.
We're not maximalists either. So we tend to bring things out and we have them. We like things, but then after a while we get a little bored of them and we put them away. And I always think like if the house is sort of has like a base of being pulled together, like a few pieces of furniture and the architecture is set up and everything feels cohesive, then you can you can bring in whatever you want. You can make it feel like your own and be eclectic with like your art, your stuff.
This is our bedroom. In here, I was really fixated on this Rogers and Goff tree fabric. So we did that as the Roman shades, and then we did a corresponding chandelier shade over there. We have this Swedish mid-century chair that we recovered in a Holland and Sherry wool. I was really into coverlets for a while and just was buying lots and lots of coverlets and making them into pillows. So this is one of them. I have a whole arsenal of coverlet pillows. This art was my grandmother. She had a big like kind of 1960s art collection and we ended up with a lot of it. So this was one piece. This was hers too, not 1960s, more
1960s?
More 1860s. Late 1800s. This was another piece of hers. We have some Matuk bedding.
I think what we liked the most about this room, or what struck us about this room, because we did reconfigure a little bit to make the closets bigger and everything, but essentially this shape existed. And it's sort of a result, all the bedrooms are like this upstairs, and it's a result of the roof style that's original. It's sort of this French-inspired roof on the outside of our house. And it's just such like a nice architectural feature, and it creates such an inviting and comfortable space. And so again, like the monochromatic treatment, I think almost emphasizes a little bit, and especially I think the cream is such like a warm, soft, relaxing space to be in. And so really the color choices, we tried to be quite spare with them so that it really did read like a light cream kind of space, right?
This is a vintage dresser that we got from the Parsons Nose, which has a lot of vintage dressers and kind of early American, they bring a lot of pieces from England, but they're located in the Midwest. Kids photos, always fun to see. The nightstands are Crump and Quash. It's a manufacturer out of Baltimore. Now we can walk into our bathroom, my favorite room in the house. This is our bathroom. There's two spaces really here. There's this wood paneled space and then there's this fully tiled space. The fully tiled space, we think of it more as a wet area.
We brought back in the same pine paneling from downstairs, but we painted it all in the cream. And it's sort of a softer transition from our bedroom. The tub is with the curved, again, with something we brought in from downstairs as well. And it's a nice view from the bedroom. Even on the chair, we put more of the trees.
And this was an original breakfast room chair in my grandmother's house too, that we upholstered in the tree fabric that's in our bedroom too. This is a water monopoly vanity that came from England.
We like in a house like this to do a more classical bathroom design, similar to what's in our son's room where the vanity and the plumbing fixtures are separated from the cabinetry. So Shana has her storage over there, I have mine over there, and we have just this freestanding water monopoly vanity, double vanity in between it. And we also love this sort of completely wet style of making a room, which feels again more true to the era of the house. A little bit about what we were talking about in the bathroom, where it's at the end of the day it's utilitarian, it's about having all the surface be wipeable, but it is also like feels a little bit elevated.
And then we brought in these mid-century light fixtures which contrast against the more traditional utilitarianness of the bathroom. So we thought that was kind of a nice break in being too serious and too literal. I think that's always it too. When you're too serious or too literal about something,
you need to break it up a little bit. And then the other thing is, I think this bathroom is so cream. It's so overwhelmingly cream between the paint and the tile, and it's so warm, which is so nice. But to keep it from looking like, you know, a rendering or something that's like overly done, we were very specific to choose a marble that was sort of blue and a little cool, because I think that always mixing the tones.
The warm and the cool is always
The warm and the cool is important in the space. I think also this speaks a little bit about getting the best results when you're dealing with something a little bit unusual. This room of the bathroom is original to the house. It was the dressing room. And this portion of the bathroom was a sun porch. And at some point in the 50s, it was closed in and it became an office. And I think it has a different roof and a different opening. And there's a world where you could have just ripped it apart and just created a new room out of it. But we liked this sort of story that it told, where you had this more like vanity type room with the tub in it and this wet space off the end of it. And I do think now that we exist in it, it does give it like a sort of interest or a comfort or something. It gives it like a unique sense of like place that a bathroom wouldn't have if we just did it from scratch.
And there's also windows looking out into the backyard. So up here you kind of feel like you're on
top of the trees.
Yeah, in a kind of treehousey vibe too. You look out here, you see this whole hillside. Over there you see green.
This light fixture was again one
of the first things I bought.
Yeah.
I think because we wanted this to feel more like a space you see from our bedroom that has the tub and this like beautiful moment.
And we wanted to have a softer lighting in here than in that portion of the bathroom, so that vintage alabaster light gave us that moment.
I think what gives a home soul and personality is actually being a reflection of the client. So I think now so many homes look like staging, and I think they're not soulful because it's not a reflection of the client.
When people decorate their own houses, they decorate it like staging.
And I think that makes it feel like not soulful. It looks like that could just be instilled anywhere and you just kind of like added to cart these things. But I think what gives a house soul is someone has a collection. Like we have a lot of my grandmother's things because she had a larger house, and then when she passed away, we just ended up with a lot of her furniture, and we've made it work in a lot of places. And I look and I like see memories, and I see the things that we've collected over the years, and I see things that we have on travel. So I think just like being a reflection of the client. And even when we design houses for people, we want it to be a reflection of them too. We want them to bring their own art. I think
a lot of people are like, oh, I would love to not have a client, but actually that's the worst. We saw an architect speaking once, and he said something so brilliant. It was Pierre Lasoni, I think. He said, why would you get angry at clients who are difficult? The client is the whole project. Without the client, there's no project. And I think that's true. And so what we're trying to do when we make someone's house is, obviously we try to be very thoughtful and do it, do a lot of work into it, but when we walk away from it and they're living in it and people come visit them, we don't want the people who visit to know we were there. That's sort of our goal, is that people will always just think this is the way this house always was, or the way it just came together. That person just has good taste and this is their stuff. And I think for us to do that, we have to sort of be very thoughtful, but leave a little bit of space for them to move things around and try to pull things from them, and also try to get an idea.
And we want clients to feel like they have like
agency over what's happening
choices
there.
And sometimes people have things that they just, they love this fabric. How can we use it in a way that makes sense? Or, you know.
The hardest is when people have nothing. Every once in a while you get a client who's like, I have nothing. I have no books. It's always so weird to be like, how do you not even have books? And then we have to sort of struggle to find like, well, what would they have if they had things? I think the word home, to me, I always say it's like kind of a joke, but it's kind of serious. I'm like a natural like homemaker. And I think that my parents were both kind of like natural homemakers. And so I think home to me, it's about what people always say, oh, it's your family and it's where you're comfortable, which is true. But I think there's also a certain aspect to me that a home is a thing that you're constantly caring for or taking care of or wanting to sort of
make better.
And it's always an extension of yourself. So if somebody comes into your home, of course you're embarrassed if it's like messy because you don't want people, you want to like present the best of yourself. Or I think to me that's like what a home is. It's almost like an extension of yourself that you're constantly tending to or caring to.
Very profound.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.